It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C Studios in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero. It's time for the Billy C Show. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening or watching. We hope you're doing all right. I want to give a special shout out to all of our new listeners from Holyfield TV. Glad to be part of your day or night or whenever. And I also want to give a shout out to Fight TV. And don't forget to download our app. Go to Fight, that's F-I-T-E, fight.tv/Billy C. Download our app and watch our show on your handheld. And there's more. No, wait, there's more. Because if you go to our website, BillyCBoxing.com, you can watch all of the top pay-per-views that you may not be able to see here in the States or anywhere else right on our website. Go check it out. We have a window. It's called Fight TV Pay-Per-Views. Check them out. It's all there for you. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. And by the way, if you're on our website, BillyCBoxing.com, you can't miss, we have a new big banner for Sal's. So if you're already on BillyCBoxing.com, don't worry about it. Just click the banner that says Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, and you'll go right to Sal's website, which has his address, phone number, all that stuff. So make sure you check that out. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simon's to get a slice of good pizza from Sal. And by the way, for all of our listeners on WGIG in Brunswick, Georgia, if you haven't checked out Sal's, it's right up the street. Go check them out on Frederica. Give them a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328, Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria.com. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Gawk Box. What is it? Well, it helps you and it helps us. So help us help you, and you can help you help us. And just go visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Gawk Box banner. Today's show is also being brought to us in part by Billy C's Canelo Alvarez, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. post-fight show, which is going to be airing Saturday, approximately 6 minutes after the fight is over. So make sure you check that out. And finally, today's show is being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux, From Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available where all great books are sold. You can get it right now while you're watching this show by going to BarnesandNoble.com or Amazon.com. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board. If you're looking to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just visit our website. Can't miss the book there. www.BillyCBoxing.com. Well, coming up a little bit later, we got Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazard set to join us. We'll talk about the Anthony Joshua, Vladimir Klitschko fight, and, of course, the big fight scheduled for this weekend between Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We also got the Blast from the Past. Yeah, that's coming up a little bit later. Alex Papali will be presenting that. And once again, we got a request from one of you guys, Carlos Zarate, a former world champion and Boxing Hall of Famer. So we'll be talking about him. We got the return of the trivia question. Can't stand getting bugged and harassed every day in the chat room. So we got that today. So make sure you stay tuned to take a shot at that. On the line today is a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. So make sure you, and I will tell you this, it's not going to be an easy question. But also, we got the fight results from last night. We got a bunch of emails to read. Today's main topic, I'm still giddy over the heavyweight fight, but, we got to move on. We got a huge fight this weekend on Cinco de Mayo. And, of course, it's putting Canelo, Saul Canelo Alvarez, against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And my question today, can Jr. upset Canelo? The odds are in Canelo's favor. All the Vegas bookies got him. All the sports books have Canelo as the favorite. A lot of people aren't giving him a chance. My question today, can Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. upset Canelo Alvarez and really upset the middleweight division in a sense? I know this fight is being contested at super middleweight, but remember, a lot of people think that the winner of this fight will be taking on Triple G next. Will it be Canelo, as most people expect, or will Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. upset the apple cart, beat Canelo, and move on to possibly get a big payday against Triple G? Joining me right now with his thoughts on this, all the way from beautiful St. Simon's Island, he's a New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer. He's a Guinness Book of World Record holder, and he's a pretty good restaurateur. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, childrens of all ages, please welcome the man, the myth, the legend himself, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Bill. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. How about yourself, my man?
I'm doing well. I think I was singing a little bit too much last night. I hear a little bit of raspiness in my voice.
Nothing for nothing, but we've been hearing that raspiness in your voice for a good week now. Maybe it's time to go to the doctor or something, my man.
Doctor? I've been to a doctor since my physical in 2012 to get my boxing license back.
Hey, you don't want them to tell you something. You don't want them to tell you something bad, right?
That's exactly right. That's my father. My father didn't believe in doctors too much, but the apple didn't fall far from the tree. But I should get a physical every year. But like I said, the last time I even went to a doctor was October 2012 to get my professional license back, boxing license back, and they said I all checked out then, and I haven't felt anything else except the raspiness in my voice right now.
It sounds like you're whispering right now. But listen, so you and I have been talking about this fight coming up this weekend between Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. And, of course, Saul Canelo Alvarez. And, I have my thoughts on the fight, of course, but do you think that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. can upset Canelo? Do you think it's realistic? I know we all like to give him a shot in the dark and all of this, but what do you think? Is it realistic? And if so, how do you see it going?
Billy, I always say, any fighter could be beaten any given time, any given night. And to think that it's not realistic, I think you'd have to look at some historical upsets that occurred when all money was being bet on one fighter. I know Canelo Alvarez is a pretty good favorite this weekend. But, you have to look at the fact that, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. is definitely a dangerous opponent. I mean, he's capable of punching with some power. He takes a great shot, and he does a good body attack. And when he is on, he will be in a posture that could really dish out some penetrating and hard blows to Canelo if Canelo doesn't have a fight plan to stay away from those power shots. So I think it's very possible. And, I've said all along, I might put some money on Chavez to pull an upset here. And why not, You never know.
No,
I think he's got a great shot.
That's why they got to fight the fight. But, the thing is, I, for one, and I know a lot of other people too, we're critical of Canelo. And the reason is certainly not anything other than the path all of a sudden he chose. On the way up, and including his fight with Floyd Mayweather, Canelo gave us the illusion that he was there to fight the biggest and the best names and wanted to cement his own legacy, et cetera, et cetera. And not only did I feel he learned something inside the ring when he fought Floyd Mayweather, but I think he tried to rip a page out of the financial success and the successful career that Floyd had outside the ring. And as a result, immediately after that fight, he seemed to take the road less traveled, let's just say, behind the advisement of his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya. And, he has chosen some easier paths rather than fight the fight that we all wanted him to fight, which was against Triple G. To make matters worse, Sal, he had the famous, when Triple G was ringside for the fight, he looks at him, he grabs the mic, he says, us Mexicans don't F around, I'll fight him right now, blah, blah, blah. And, that was a couple of years ago, and Triple G, as a result, has not, it will not be ringside for this fight this weekend. And the other thing is the fact that, just a side note, Triple G hasn't looked that great in his last couple of fights either, so the clamoring for this fight is even higher. With all that said, I think that Canelo Alvarez, his mindset and the path that he's taken is seemingly an easier path, except I'm not so sure that that's the case this weekend. I think that this weekend, and I've said it a million times, Sal, that Canelo's weakness is the fact that he's got to stand in front of his opponent. He's not very good at hitting on the move, or at least landing punches effectively. And I think that plays right into Julio Cesar Chavez's arsenal, because he really only does one thing good. And another thing, he seems to be in good shape, both mentally and physically. A good Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. in good mental and physical shape. Do you think he's going to pose a danger for Canelo?
Oh, yeah, I think he could. And this fight could change with one punch. I think if it does change with a single punch, it's going to change more towards a punch coming from Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., more likely than one single punch coming from Canelo Alvarez. And that being, I think that he is definitely in this fight. And I'm just hoping that the Chavez Jr. showing up has got his head on straight, the blinders on, and looking at his opponent right in front of him. Not to wish Canelo Alvarez any bad, but I'm like you, Bill. I was a big fan of Canelo Alvarez, especially in that Mayweather fight. And, I thought that he did learn a lot. But I think he learned more from the handbook. And here he is maybe touting and looking at Triple G maybe 2 or 3 years after the fact. Just like Mayweather finally got in the ring with Pacquiao, maybe 5 years too late. But, the bottom line is this. I think this fight this weekend will be significant for each fighter to solidify their position. And I think if Chavez Jr. pulls this upset and wins, he's going to be right back on top in the limelight, of course. And people are going to be knocking on his door. And he's also going to be vying for the championships and the unification and big fights with Triple G, possibly. But if Canelo Alvarez solidifies his position here and stops and beats Chavez convincingly, there's only the top of the top for him to face in the fight. And his monetary value and marquee value will go right to the top.
Truthfully, Canelo Alvarez really is in a position where all he's got to do is, like the late great Al Davis used to say, is just win.
Just win.
But the problem is that one of the things I wish he would have learned from Floyd was how to utilize your feet and be effective with your hands at the same time. It's something that Canelo just has not done yet. And I know I'm like a broken record with that because I've been saying it all the time. But, every other aspect of the game, if you look at Canelo Alvarez, he's textbook. His stance is textbook. He delivers his punches textbook. He needs to. It's almost like he's overthinking, even though I think it's automatic. And I think it plays right into Julio Cesar Chavez's game plan. Chavez is limited, but he seems mentally ready for this fight. According to him, he's going to have no problem making weight. He did look a little thin. I saw a photo of him yesterday. He did look a little thin. So if he's losing weight, maybe stamina comes into play. Now that's something that Canelo Alvarez has had some problems with in the past as well. His own stamina, where he fights in spurts and stuff like that. They genuinely, whether it's true or not, they're definitely playing up to the fact that they genuinely don't like each other. You have the revenge factor. Ramon Alvarez was knocked out pretty much in a brutal fashion by Julio's brother, Omar Chavez, this past weekend. Personally, I don't think that comes into play, but you never know what motivates fighters. And I really listen. Like you said earlier, a lot of times when everybody in the world is playing one side, there's always seems to be a ruffling of the tail feathers, and the opposite comes into play. And I honestly think that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Is a really good live underdog to throw a few bucks on, and I have this strange feeling that Chavez Jr. is going to upset this apple cart. I have a strange feeling that he's going to win this fight, and he's going to knock out, because that's the only way he's going to win the fight. I think he's going to knock out Canelo. And Canelo, really, out of all people, the only time I ever saw Canelo seemingly get rocked was against Floyd. And Floyd can't knock out anything. He can't knock out gravel out of his sneaker, But the truth of the matter is I thought Floyd rocked Canelo when they fought. And Chavez punches a hell of a lot harder. And, if he stays mentally in this fight, and if he's as interested in the fight and as jacked up for this fight as he seems to be, it's going to be a tough night for Canelo, Sal.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. And we're going to have to – I'm going to be on the edge of my seat with this one. And I'll tell you, Bill, I think, like you're thinking, this could be a night of upsets. Well, at least for Canelo Alvarez. And, we'll see where this lands. But I could see Canelo taking some big shots from Chavez, and I don't think Canelo will knock Chavez out, but I could see Chavez knocking Canelo out, especially with going down to the body if he hits him first and slows him down.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the past we've seen that Canelo is susceptible to body work, and that's Julio Jr.'s biggest asset. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we had the fight last night on FS1, and we'll talk a little about the main event. It was a competitive fight. It was a competitive fight in both sides.
Entertaining. Yeah.
It was competitive. It was a little boring at first, but again, this conditioning. I mean, we're going to be talking about this fight here in a couple of minutes. We got some emails we might try to get to at least before we get Larry on, and then we'll come back to them. There's several of them. And don't forget, if you take the time to drop us an email, Billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com, we'll take the time to read it on air. So listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about the Mendez-Reddick fight that took place last night and some other things. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free. Snacking has never been.
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And don't forget about Fight TV. That's FITE.TV/Billy C. Download our app today and have it on your handheld so you can watch our show and some others. So don't worry about that. I'm here with my man Sal Rocky Senacola. And last night there was a fight on Fox Sports 1. And the main event had former world champion Argenis Mendez going up against, we'll call him a contender. Somebody had him ranked, Ivan Reddick. The funny thing is Reddick was on the A side of this fight, and a lot of people had him as the favorite, which I found kind of strange. He was coming off of a big win, but the computer, we broke it down yesterday, the computer had him ranked substantially lower than Mendez. Now, Mendez was coming off of 2 losses, back-to-back losses, but at the end of the night, Argenis Mendez improved to 24 wins, 5 losses, and a draw, with 12 of his wins coming by knockout when Reddick dropped to 20 wins, 3 losses, and a draw with 16 knockouts. It was a tough fight, a split decision. 2 of the judges had it for Mendez, 96-93 and 95-94, while the third saw it for Reddick. I didn't personally score the fight, but I will say this. I felt that, number one, the referee took a point away from Reddick, and he also did not call 2 knockdowns that, although they didn't seem to hurt Argenis Mendez, I think they should have been called knockdowns. They were flash knockdowns. There was a punch thrown, and he did go down. The referee, Raul Caez Jr., scored them as slips. Were they knockdowns, Sal Rocky Senacola?
I scored them. I didn't score them, but I saw them as knockdowns. And, I definitely think that all that came into play with the scoring. I thought Mendez looked dominant at times, and I thought he was the sharper puncher. And I thought, from what I was looking and listening to, that Reddick was the favorite going in, or the hopefully winner coming out. And but Mendez had a lot to say about that, and he wasn't going to agree with the opinion of others. First round I gave kind of a draw. It was a feeling out session. But Mendez, I gave the second, and because of the round, the point being taken away from Reddick in the third, I actually made that a 9-9 round because I thought Reddick beat him that third round, or won that third round. But that came into play. And then those flash knockdowns, if you will, they were knockdowns. I mean, as you said, a punch landed, the guy went down. It could be a slip, could be anything. He's off balance, he's down. So, I think that the scoring could have been easily turned around to a draw, or maybe even in Reddick's favor. But, in the end, I thought Mendez did enough to be dominant, and he was a sharper, crisper puncher. And he did walk away with the victory in a split decision.
I have some quotes. Ivan said at the end of the fight, the judges got it wrong. I won that fight. I felt that I knocked him down, and the referee didn't call it. And then he took the point away, and that cost me. I never felt any pain. I fought like I wanted to, and I thought I did enough. They were wrong. This was my night. The comment, listen, I hear it all the time from fighters. I thought I won. I thought I did enough. At the end of the day, you can't take anything for granted. And,
No.
the corners can't be – I know that boxing is 90% mental. And I know a lot of corner guys, trainers, what have you, they'll be in their fighter's ear and they'll be saying, oh, you're looking good. Keep doing what you're doing. You're winning that round. Now, whether they truly believe that or whether they're just trying to stroke their fighter a little bit, you never know. If they really think that their fighter is winning and rounds, I mean, let's be real. This was a close fight. There was no dominating round. I mean, there was nobody slapping the crap out of each other, and you could just, not even think twice about who won the round. I mean, they were close. Again, it goes back to, what order are you judging the fight? Are you putting, the same order as the other judges, and you end up with different scores. Now, the bottom line is there's no robbery here, with the exception of the knockdowns. If those 2 knockdowns get scored, then Reddick wins the fight. Mendez said after the fight, I used my skill and speed throughout this fight. I waited to come forward until after the 4th round. I knew he wasn't going to be able to knock me out because I have great defense. I see every punch. I definitely slipped both times I went down. He didn't even hit me. Ivan's a tough warrior. He throws a lot of wild punches, and he hit me in the back of the head several times. I thought the scorecards were too close. I thought I won by a much larger margin. Again, the attitude of just winning, just fighting enough to win a round, minimally is wrong. I feel that if you want to win a round, Sal, you got to win every round convincingly.
Yes.
Even if you have a game plan to take a fighter into the later rounds, you still got to win. There's no reason to give away rounds. And I mean, Go ask Arthur Abraham. Arthur Abraham, had to learn the hard way that, he can't just give up the first 4 rounds, assuming that he's going to tire his opponents out, which, very well could be a good strategy in a sense. But the way the judging is today, you can't gamble with that, right?
No, you can't. What fighter said, hey, I bring only 2 judges into the ring, my left and my right, your fists, you've got to be dominant, convincing, and you don't play scorecard on your own tablet to try and see, well, what rounds can I give away, what rounds can I take, and where am I gonna come on strong. You've got to go out there every round to be looking at the opportunities to be dominant and to win that round, because you never know how these judges are going to view it and see it. And notwithstanding, a corner is so important, and that's why you got to choose your cornerman very carefully. Aside from your cut man and your objective manager or whoever's in that corner looking at this fight, your trainer, and they've got to be objective to where they could see how the judges might view this fight, and they've got to be able to pick apart and analyze and give it in layman's terms directly to their fighter. I mean, you know what, Bill? One day I hope I can have the opportunity to be a cornerman and really give my insight of what I see happening in the ring for my fighter. So, I mean, that would be a great challenge, and I would love to do that.
A lot of times, and people that never fought don't understand this, but because people think that, as a fighter, you're in the ring doing the fighting, nobody sees things as well as you do, but that's really not the case. A lot of times, a good corner man, a good trainer will see things that you don't, even though you're the guy in there fighting, and a good trainer can make those adjustments in between rounds as long as the fighter is willing to listen. In a case where a trainer is constantly trying to, jack his fighter up and maybe, be misleading him, it certainly doesn't help. And although this fight was close and you could have given it to Ivan, when you have these close fights, the word robbery shouldn't come into play.
No.
But at the end of the day, Mendez won the fight. And, you hate to see a referee or a judge change the outcome of a fight because of a mistake. And, again, I wasn't ringside. I was watching on TV. I got the luxury of seeing replays, and it looked to me like he did land a punch, as grazing as it was. A lot of times if a fighter falls from being off balance, but his opponent happens to be landing a punch, even though it just taps him, that's a knockdown, boys and girls.
It's a knockdown.
I mean, it is what it is,
That's what I saw.
It's almost like fighters today are trying to get too scientific with game plans. I think, we as society, I mean, in baseball, managers overmanage. In football, they overcoach. They're trying to do things. And now all of a sudden in boxing, it seems like they're over-strategizing. At the end of the day, you get in the ring and you fight. You want to, the fight game is a brutal sport. You want to render your opponent unconscious. That's the goal. The late great Sam Langford, I quoted him yesterday, and I'll say it again today. He used to tell people, I bring my own judges, my left and my right. Those are my judges. And
that's right.
It still rings true, right?
Oh, 100% right, Bill. 100% right. That's like I said earlier. Absolutely.
I just want to get everybody caught up real quickly. We're going to take a break here, and Sal's going to go gargle with salt water while
I am.
While we get Larry on the phone. But in the NBA playoffs, the Celtics beat the Wizards 129-119 to take a 2-0 series lead in that playoff. And then also the Warriors beat the Jazz 106-94 to take a 1-game lead in their series. Over in the NHL playoffs, the Rangers finally got back on track. They beat the Senators 4-1. Ottawa still leads that series, though, 2-1. So the Rangers are against the wall. And the Predators beat the Blues 2-1. Nashville leads that series convincingly, 3-1. They only need one more win to move on. Over in Major League Baseball, the Baby Bombers keep bombing opponents. The Yankees beat the Blue Jays 11-5. The Diamondbacks beat the Nationals 6-3. The Red Sox over the Orioles 5-2. The Tigers beat the Indians 5-2 as well. The Pirates over the Reds 12-3. The Rays beat the Marlins in the Battle of Florida 3-1. The Braves beat the sad-ass Mets 9-7. The Mets now are in the cellar of the NL East. The Cubs beat the Phillies 8-3. The Twins over the A's 9-1. The Astros over the Rangers 8-7. The White Sox shut out the Royals 6-0. Cardinals over the Brewers 2-1. Angels beat the Mariners in 11 innings 6-4. The Dodgers beat up on the Giants 13-5. And the Padres beat the Colorado Rockies 6-2. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break, Sal, and when we come back, we're going to have Larry Hazard on the phone, and we hope that you can go gargle with some salt water or something, man. You got a trail of tears going on here in the chat room. Everybody's feeling for you. So
I don't know what it is. I feel like feel like I'm doing my impression of Pantangeli on the witness stand for the FBI. The FBI guys, they promised me a deal. So I said, Michael Corleone did this, Michael Corleone did that. And I said, yeah, sure, but they're all lies.
Now you sound like Mickey Mouse trying to do the impression. But anyway, go gargle with salt, and we'll see you in about a half hour. And for everybody, I just want to remind you, if you are watching us live, right now, our chat room on Billy C. Boxing. I know there's a lot of options for chat rooms, but the one on BillyCBoxing.com is the one that we like to follow because that's the one that we can actually, communicate with you on. So if you are looking for a chat room to be part of the show of sorts, then definitely check out the chat room in BillyCBoxing.com. Listen, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Larry Hazard is scheduled to join us, and I got a bone to pick with Larry Hazard. If you recall, last week, the topic when Larry came on was, do you believe that the Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko would live up to the hype? Both Sal and I said, yes, we do think it will live up to the hype. And my man Larry, the New Jersey boxing commissioner and a Hall of Famer, said he didn't think so. Can't wait to get Larry on the phone. We'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And don't forget about getting a copy of my book. Yeah, I'm going to keep bugging you until you have at least 10 copies and laying around your house. Visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and get your copy today. Or just go to amazon.com or barnesandnoble.com, and you can surely pick up a copy there. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board. Well, joining me right now is Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Athletic Commissioner, and my main man, and a guy I got a bone to pick with, Larry Hazard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, what's up, Billy?
Not too bad, my man, not too bad. And, hey, let's just get right in it, Larry. Let's just get right into it. This past weekend we saw what I thought was one of the most entertaining heavyweight fights in a long time. And I honestly just can't get out of my mind how you were pretty vocal about how you thought it wasn't going to live up to the hype. I certainly thought it lived up to the hype. What was your thoughts on the fight, and where do you think each fighter goes from here?
Well, you got me on that one, Billy. You know, I thought it was going to be a boring fight. As you can recall, I said, no, I think it's going to be a boring 12-round fight. But, you know, I did think that the outcome was going to be as it was in terms of who the winner was going to be. Well, I was wrong. But you know what? I was pleasantly surprised. And this, to me, is a great thing for the sport. Because once again, guys like you and I, who are, I think, part of a dying breed, we can once again debate, have friendly debates on what we think about a particular fight without both of us knowing going in who the winner's going to be. And that's a great thing. You know, it says a lot for the sport of boxing. It says a lot for the sport in terms of I think boxing is making a tremendous comeback, you know, especially with these types of fights. You know, and the big fights that we've seen in the last several major events have been fantastic events. The best are fighting the best, and I think that Joshua and Klitschko really did the sport a good deed with that performance. Heavyweight boxing at its best, because as the heavyweights go, so goes the sport of boxing. And the other ironic thing that I noted, Klitschko put in one of the most spectacular performances that I've ever seen him do in his career. That was in a losing effort. That was one of the best fights that I've ever seen Klitschko in. I mean, in my opinion, Klitschko would have probably beaten any of the top heavyweights that are out there right now with a performance like he did last week. So it was a classic heavyweight event. And what a build-up for a rematch, pay-per-view, a real pay-per-view event, okay, in several years. I would put my stamp on this rematch. So I was pleasantly surprised, but I'm happy. I'm happy for the sport of boxing.
Well, I agree with you. I mean, if Vladimir Klitschko fought the way he fought against Anthony Joshua throughout his whole career, we'd be talking about him the way people still talk about Mike Tyson. I mean, I think the knock on Vladimir Klitschko was the fact that his style was boring. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. And although I think he could have thrown a few more punches, for him, he was extremely aggressive. Some of the naysayers are saying, well, he's 41 years old, he's this, he's that. They don't want to give Anthony Joshua credit, but I do give Anthony Joshua credit. He had to show us everything, Larry. I mean, he had to show us. He came up off the canvas. He was in dire straits, even when he knocked down Klitschko early in the fight. I mean, he barely survived that round. I mean, to tell you the truth, I don't know how he did. He didn't hold or anything. And then he goes down the following round. And, I had that fight exactly even going into the ninth round. And I remember saying to myself, geez, the outcome of this fight is going to be determined in these next 4 rounds. And then that's really, I mean, after all of what we saw up until the ninth round, the fight actually started really going well in the ninth round. I mean, it was back and forth, and I don't know if you could ask for a better fight in the heavyweight division. And I agree with what you said. I think Klitschko beats everyone else in the division. I've been on Anthony Joshua saying he was the best heavyweight for a while now, and I think he learned a lot, although I hate these guys that, say, oh, well, he's still learning on the job. Hey, he got up off. Kudos to him and his corner, doing whatever they had to do to get him back on track, and he came out on top. And I don't think there's a heavyweight out there today that's going to beat him. And the fight that, I know you want to see too, once and for all, Deontay Wilder. It's time for him to stop pounding his chest and telling everybody how great he is, and it's time for him to sit down with his team and say, I want to make this fight. Don't make me fight Tony Bellew. Don't make me fight some other, nondescript opponent. Let's go after Anthony Joshua. And there's no embarrassment losing in a big fight like that, don't you think?
There's no embarrassment whatsoever. Plus, he can make it happen. If he insists that he wants Joshua, Joshua is who it's going to be. And win or lose, there's no embarrassment for either fighter. As far as Joshua learning on the job, well, I mean, it is what it is. He's beaten who they put in front of him. He's proven himself now. He went right to the top, and he beat the top guy. So if he continues to learn on the job, he's earned his right to learn on the job. He took out the top guy. I mean, Klitschko's been world heavyweight champion for 11 years, topped only by Joe Louis. Come on. What are you going to say? And as far as Deontay Wilder is concerned, kudos to him if he calls Klitschko out. Win or lose, he's still at the top of his game. Because if he loses to the top heavyweight in the world. If he wins, then he can proclaim himself to be the top guy, the best guy. So, hey, come on, let's get it on. This is what boxing is about, and this is what heavyweight boxing is all about. So, I think it's time, and I think it's great for them to push forward and try to make that match, because I'm sure that's what the fans want to see. They want to see the best fighting the best. I think we saw the two best heavyweight fighters. One was, of course, a champion. The other has every right to claim, being the next best guy. And so we saw a terrific heavyweight fight. It was a classic. Okay, it was a classic. I don't think that we've seen a heavyweight fight like that in the last 10, 15 years. I can remember, Tyson, Lennox Lewis. There were other fights that come close. No, I'm still here. You still here?
Yeah, no. I all of a sudden you said what comes to my mind, and then I didn't hear anything. But Ron Lyle against who?
What comes to my mind is George Foreman when he fought Ron Lyle. You remember that one?
Ron Lyle. Ron Lyle was an Adonis. I mean, he was his body. The first time I ever saw him walk into the ring, I was like, oh my God, this guy's something, But yeah, and you're right. The fight, we've seen big fights technically, but not memorable fights like this one. They're asking me in the chat room to ask you, did you score the fifth round 10-8 or 10-9? Steve Farhood scored it 10-9.
I'm glad you asked me that question, because I had kind of lost my thought. I wanted to hit on that. I scored that round 10-9, okay? Because once again, when you come back from a knockdown, to me, is not always a home run in boxing. If you knock the fighter down and you continue to overwhelm him in that round, then deservedly you should get the extra point, 10-8. But if he comes back, now he's getting those points back. And I certainly think in that round, Klitschko got at least a point back from that knockdown, okay? Because, he came back and, there could be an argument made for even round in that, depending on how you view knockdowns. Because a knockdown can come, from a flash punch. A fighter can go down. You just can't automatically score around 10-8 because a knockdown occurred. So I scored that round 10-9.
I don't know how Anthony Joshua stayed on his feet in that round. I mean, he didn't hold, he didn't clinch, he didn't do anything. So, but the rest is history. Now, you had mentioned that you wouldn't mind seeing a rematch. My thoughts on that is that I think that the rematch would have been called for more if Klitschko won the fight. At this point, not only did Anthony Joshua win, but he knocked out Klitschko. And I also feel that despite Klitschko being stopped and even down in the fight several times, I think he proved that he didn't have a weak chin. I think he proved. I mean, that uppercut alone would have. I thought his head was going to end up in the third or fourth row. I don't think I've ever seen an uppercut land with so much force from a heavyweight as that one did. And although it hurt Klitschko, he didn't go down from that. He went down from. That was the beginning of it, but he actually went down from a right hand. But do you think that they would have a rematch? I mean, would you think that maybe Klitschko would have to fight somebody else and get a win and then have the rematch? I mean, how do you see that going?
Well, I'm thinking like Billy. I'm thinking like a businessman now in boxing, okay? Because I'm sure that there are a lot of people out there. Although I thought David Fields did a fantastic job, okay, but there are still a lot of people out there who thought that the fight may have been stopped a little early. So I think that to put an exclamation point on it, and I think that there's enough enthusiasm coming off of that fight. If Klitschko, was to clamor for a rematch, I think that it would be a tremendous sell, only for that reason. And I think, hey, look, here's a guy who's held the World Heavyweight Championship, the crown jewel of all boxing, okay? If he wants a rematch, I think that he deserves a rematch. That's just a bit on the personal side. and coming from a business perspective. I think in fairness to Klitschko, after having held that title for 11 years, okay, one thing that I give him credit for, he did not offer up not one excuse. He said he was disappointed. He really, really wanted that win real bad, but he congratulated the winner. He didn't offer, he didn't come with that famous line, I'm not making up any excuses, and then comes a barrage of excuses.
Right.
He didn't do any of that. And I give him credit for that.
Yeah,
so I think that he deserves a rematch if he wants one.
But both fighters were class acts throughout the whole promotion of the fight, and of course at the end of the fight. As a matter of fact, Klitschko looked like he was a little embarrassed when Anthony Joshua was holding up his hand. It was almost like he wanted Anthony Joshua to get, all the credit. And, as far as people thinking that fight was stopped prematurely, I don't know. I didn't hear Klitschko arguing about it.
That's right.
He was taking a beating.
You got this loudmouth, this Kellerman, and a few of the other brave people who sit on the side. That's the one thing that HBO telecast, man. Sometimes I wish I could jump through the TV and snatch the mic from that loudmouth guy. And as much as I love my man Roy Jones, sometimes Roy's talking like a fighter. You know what I mean? So I can give Roy a pass. But this guy Kellerman, he gets a little obnoxious sometimes with some of this crap that he says. It was stopped too soon. Well, yeah, it stopped too soon if you're not the guy that's getting hit with all them shots.
Stop too soon. You see, I didn't listen to that, bro. I watched the live one because we did a post-fight after, but stop too soon. He was down 2 times before that, in the same round. I mean, no, I don't think the fight was stopped too soon at all. And after that, Larry, after that uppercut that started it, I mean, geez, I gave him all the credit in the world for even getting up after that. I mean, come on. And this kid Anthony Joshua can lay some leather on you. That's for sure. What would be your thoughts if this scenario went something like this? Klitschko fights a rematch with Tyson Fury, and the winner fights Anthony Joshua, or maybe even Klitschko fighting Deontay Wilder. And then giving Klitschko an opportunity to really clamor for a rematch with some, justification other than just having it outlined in a contract.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Any one of those scenarios that would include Klitschko if he wants it. Okay, only if he wants it.
Well, he's got the choice. He gets to make the choice. Apparently, the way the contract was written.
Well, I certainly that would get my stamp of approval also. Any way that goes, as long as it's among those top guys, right there, okay, and that's good for boxing. I think, that's great for the sport. It takes us back to the days that we've been clamoring for, Billy, where you had that top tier of those heavyweight fighters, Foreman, Ali, Lau. All of those guys, Norton, you remember those days, and you knew that you were going to get your money's worth out of any one of those matchups. The same thing when you had the 4 kings of boxing, Leonard, Hearns, Duran, you know what I'm saying? Hagler. You knew, no matter how you shook it up, you were going to have a fantastic fight. And so we're back to that again, with that heavyweight division, if they keep stirring the pot. If Klitschko stays in the mix, you got Klitschko, Wilder, Fury, and some of these other guys that are out there, that are claiming that they're the best, So I think that, if we could keep it going, boxing is alive and well, and it's just great. I got a great feeling about the sport once again.
Well, what made the past eras so great was they had the dance partners, Larry. Ali had Frazier and George Foreman and Kenny Norton, et cetera, et cetera. And they were able, because of the talent, they were able to become great. And I think that with the fighters today, although they're trying to maneuver themselves from a business perspective better than the fighters of yesteryear, what they're failing to realize is they're not creating opportunities to go to a few dances and really, and the truth of the matter is I don't think they care. I don't think they care. It's all been about the money. And the one thing I like about this kid, Anthony Joshua, is that he does seem to care. He does seem to be taking things in stride. And I can't say enough about him. I've been on his, praising this kid since he turned pro. I told you to watch out for him a long time ago. I thought that he's had a tough road up. People say his resume was weak. I disagree. I think a lot of those fighters on there were tough guys, tougher than Wilder has faced, that's for sure. But from a trainer perspective, and after watching the fight, anything that you would like to see Anthony Joshua work on, aside from stamina issues, do you see any holes in his game?
Well, there's always something. The great Manny Stewart once told me, he said, for every style, there's the opposite style that can master that style. You know what I mean, Billy? There's the formula for every style. So, even with Joshua, there's somebody out there, if they could see where the cracks and crevices are in his armor, if they could work on the style that would penetrate that, certainly he would be defeated. But that's part of the challenge. I would like to see him improve more with a jab. He's got a decent jab. He's got that height, that knife. He reminds me of Muhammad Ali, a young Muhammad Ali body structure. You know what I mean? He's well proportioned. I mean, he's got the right height. He's got the body mass. He has a tremendous body mass index, I'm sure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And if he just improves on his jab, his foot movement, utilizing the ring, I mean, this guy could become a very, very, very outstanding heavyweight champion. And if his head doesn't get too big.
No, well, that seems like it's not. Although that ring walk was something spectacular. But if you know how we're always talking about time machines. If somebody had a time machine, who I think would fare well against him, even though he's so much bigger, a guy like Evander Holyfield. And the reason why I say that is because you could hurt Evander, but nobody had recuperative powers as quick and as strong as Evander did. And I could see him fighting a kid like Anthony Joshua and letting Joshua tire himself out, and then all of a sudden reach from wherever Evander used to reach from, and really put a whooping on him. And the truth of the matter is Klitschko had him right where Evander would have finished him. And Klitschko, whether he was getting tired himself or whether he just wasn't aggressive enough or mean enough, he could have finished him in that round, in that fifth round, and he didn't. And by letting him survive, and then again he could have finished him when he dropped him in the sixth, but he let him off the hook. But hey, we're running out of time. I want to ask you, today's topic, Larry, is this. I have this funny feeling about the big fight this weekend. And I just, I think that Canelo, he chose this easier path, what seemingly to be easier, the marination process of trying to get the bigger money for Triple G, et cetera, on the heels of his famous line, us Mexicans don't F around and all of this crap. And he certainly hasn't fought anybody too tough since then. But I have this strange feeling that Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Is going to upset the apple cart this weekend. Could you see that happening?
I can see it happening. I don't particularly think that it might happen, but I could see it happen, mainly because I think that Alvarez may underestimate Chavez. And like you say, he's got this braggart, this attitude, okay? But I'm not going to be like the last one. I think that this is going to be a fight that is going to have us talking about it again next week. So we'll see. But I got it going in as a toss-up. You know,
Yeah.
I've never been a great Alvarez fan. You know, he's a lot of hype behind him. You know, Floyd showed you that he can, that he can be had, and so I got going in. You know, I really don't know who's going to win it. I give Chavez a tremendous chance in this fight.
Well, you know, what Floyd showed is that, you know, if you have movement, you could pose some trouble for Canelo. He also showed us that Canelo can't, you know, move and land on his opponent. He's getting none of that from Chavez, and I think that Chavez's strength is Canelo's biggest weakness.
And Chavez, he likes the body, and I like those guys that they like that body work. That body, a greater sense of appreciation for body punching is returning to boxing. I mean, and Chavez, like his father, and your Sean Porters, they are really doing body punching a great service in the sport of boxing. So we'll see what happens Saturday night.
Hey, Larry, I appreciate you joining us today, and we'll certainly be looking forward to next week, my man.
Okay, buddy. I look forward to it. I'll take care now.
Enjoy the fight. Enjoy the fight, my man.
Oh, you too, Billy.
All right, take care. That's Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazard giving us his thoughts on the Anthony Joshua Vladimir Klitschko fight, and as you heard, he is inclined to see a rematch. And I think that Klitschko definitely deserves a rematch. I certainly wouldn't not want to see it. That's for sure. But I would also like to see Vladimir Klitschko possibly get another W when that happens. Before that happens. That's what I personally would like to see. But then again, who am I, right? Who am I? But listen, coming up in a minute or two, we got Alex Perpali joining us. We're going to be doing our Blast from the Past. It features Carlos Zarate, so make sure you stick around for that. And then we got Sal Rocky Senacola joining us again here in a couple minutes. And I have several emails. Now, I don't know if we're going to be able to get to all of them today due to time constraints. But if you sent us an email and we don't get to read it today, rest assured we will read it on tomorrow's show. And speaking of today, the return of the trivia question. Yeah. I'm sick of getting harassed in the chat room. I won't mention his name, but his initials are Kevin. And, he keeps harassing me about the trivia question. Well, it's going to be back today. And what's on the line is a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, which is going to be supporting and sponsoring our next segment, which Alex Perpali is going to join me on here in a moment. So, listen, I'm going to take a short break. And when I get back, we will be talking about Carlos Zarate. And we will keep you posted, and I'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a 1,000,000 bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1,000,000 people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. That's 800-715-4869.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade
show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could join us. And it's that time again right now. It's time for our Blast from the Past. And this week's Blast from the Past is being sponsored by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Join it today. And as well as the Title Bout Championship computer game. Get yourself a copy. Just visit our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner, which is right there on the right-hand side. And today's Blast from the Past, as per request from one of you guys, our listeners and viewers, is former world champion and Boxing Hall of Famer Carlos Zarate. And joining me right now to tell us all about Carlos Zarate is my man Alex Perpali. What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing well, thank you. I'm doing well. Carlos Zarate, what a fighter he was. He's still with us, but I mean during his day, I meant.
Oh, absolutely. This is definitely one serious fighter, a great Mexican fighter. Since we are honoring Mexican fighters this week, it's an appropriate blast to do. And even though we got to see the big men this past weekend boxing beautifully, well, or at least brutally, if not beautifully, it's usually the lighter weights that give the most thrills in this sport. And this guy's a bantamweight, and the bantamweights are always traditionally pretty awesome.
Yeah, and not only that, but he was exciting too. A guy that had as many knockouts as he did. Of his 66 fights, 63. Tell us about this guy, man.
Absolutely, yeah. He's definitely not a careful stylist or anything. He's a bruiser. But yeah, Carlos Zarate, or Zarate, or Zarate, I don't know. But he was born May 23rd, 1951 in Tepito, Mexico. He was the youngest of 8 children. He was 5 foot 8 inches tall, and he fought at 118 and 122, so that's bantamweight and junior featherweight. He never knew his dad, who died of pneumonia when Carlos was just a toddler. His mom, Luz Zarate, raised him, and she made sure that he got a good education. But Carlos was trouble in school. He liked fighting more than books, And so he got into boxing, and it was very soon that he realized that he was a tremendous puncher. And he had a 33-0 record as an amateur with 30 knockouts. There was one man who had claimed to have beaten him, but it was a sketchy sort of records about it. So he might have had one defeat as an amateur, but he was a Golden Gloves champion of Mexico, and they called him Classy Carlos. He was an exceptional boxer and a major puncher, but he crushed stereotypes. He wasn't, this flashy, loud Mexican slugger, type aggressive guy. He was more refined. He even tried to institute a rule of no spitting in the gym. He was a methodical technician, coolly confident, and he was an exceptional boxer with really fast, instinctive moves, but everything about him was low key.
When I look at him and remember him, I mean, it's the sad part, Alex, is we're talking about blast from the past. I remember like if it was yesterday when these guys fought, but at the time, I thought in my opinion, I thought he brought excitement back to the bantamweight division, because prior to him, like Ruben Alvarez was a big name in that division, and during Carlos Zarate's career, he was beating really top quality guys, especially when he had his championship run and he made all those successful title defenses. But unfortunately, a lot of casual fans probably never heard of some of these guys that he fought and beat. You'd have to go all the way, fast forward his career all the way to 1978 when he actually came up short against Wilfredo Gomez. But that was kind of on the tail end of his first career, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I think that you do find about, Mexican greats is that, for a while they fight solely in Mexico, and they become a regional star. And that was certainly the case. He was very big in Mexico. He was big in, Southern California. And actually in 1977, the Battle of the Z's, his fight was a non-title fight, a 10-rounder with Alfonso Zamora, was a really big matchup. That even like before the like you said, the loss to Gomez, that was a big fight, and of course that was the Puerto Rico versus Mexico clash. But before that, he had fought just the year before in 1977. He fought Alfonso Zamora. They had been stablemates, and they were once managed by a guy named Arturo Cuyo Hernandez. But he split with Zamora when Zamora's father became too involved. That's in quotes, the old air quotes. But they sort of were close to each other because of being stablemates, a bit of rivalry, some bad blood between them. They, at points, Zarate fought on undercards of Zamora. He knocked out a guy named Joe Guevara on an undercard and broke some of his teeth, broke his jaw, knocked some teeth loose. And eventually they fight. They did fight. And it was a non-title fight, unfortunately. But it didn't matter because both of them were ridiculous punchers with ridiculous knockout percentages. At the time, Zamora was 28-0 with 28 KOs, and Zarate was 46-0 with 45 KOs. It took over a year to finally put the fight together. It seemed like contractually they had problems, but it was dubbed as the Battle of the Z's. I put it in the show's Blast from the Past. I mean, the website's Blast from the Past section there, and it's a tremendous fight. It's just a shootout. And Billy C, it has a couple, this is one of the things I love about the Blast is history repeats. and you see, you know how we had the crazy fan man? Well, in the Zamora fight, in the first round, all of a sudden there's this guy who climbs into the ring. It was an absolutely insane atmosphere. Every now and then you hear explosions. The crowd was really wild. They had fireworks. And on 2 occasions, there were intruders into the ring. In the first round, a guy comes into the ring and just sort of stops there and looks at everybody. He said later that God made him do it. But he's quickly tackled by riot police and dragged out. And then I guess later, in between rounds, somebody else tried to get in. But it only went 4 rounds. It's a shootout. Zarate knocks Zamora out, and they throw in the towel, and the towel lands right on Zamora's face. It's real dramatic. And then Zamora's father leaps into the ring and charges across the ring to go after Arturo Cuyo Hernandez, who's in the other corner, he still has bad blood with him. And then that little fracas is quelled. But just a crazy fight.
You know, usually when people do crazy stuff, they say the devil made me do it. This guy's throwing the big guy under the bus, you know. But
well, he's a monotheist.
Yeah, you know. But when I didn't suggest that he didn't fight tough fighters, I just meant that to anybody that's shaking their head at me right now, I just meant that some of the names weren't as known today as Wilfredo Gomez.
Yeah, they're definitely not world known guys. They must have been Mexican badasses.
Well, when he won the title, he beat Rodolfo Martinez, who was a well-known fighter. I mean, people, diehard fans have heard of him, and he did make a bunch of title defenses. But the big names, were Rodolfo Martinez when he won the title, Paul Ferreri in 1976. Also, Danilo Batista was an undefeated fighter that he made quick work of here in the States. And then Andres Hernandez was also a very well-established fighter, which led up to the Wilfredo Gomez fight in 1978. He did win the title again, which I find it kind of strange how that happened. I mean, well, actually, what it was he had the bantamweight title, and he challenged Wilfredo Gomez for his super bantamweight belt. He retained his own, because I was, as I'm looking through his resume, I see that next thing you know, he's fighting a 1-4 guy for the title. I'm like, wait a minute, how did that happen? But I realize now that he maintained his title. He actually didn't lose it until 1979 when Lupi Pintor beat him. And then he actually retired for 7 years and made a comeback and got another, not 1, but 2 shots at the title.
Yeah, and it's funny because that's where I first remember hearing of him, his comeback, because I first got into boxing right at the end of 1985. So in 86, I can remember reading about Zarate and watching some of his fights, and I remember seeing the Zaragoza fight live. But yeah, that Lupe Pintor fight, that really was devastating for him. It was a split decision loss that he really thought he won. He just stayed in the ring for a while afterwards and eventually left. As if, the longer he stayed in there, maybe they'd say, oh, wait a minute, we got something wrong, but that never happened. He just sort of, you see him in the video just sort of walking around the ring with his mouth open. He was stunned he lost that fight. I don't believe it. I won't ever believe it, was the quote from him. He just felt that he was robbed. But, and unfortunately, that's one of the things that's sort of interesting about him is that, we always like to look at the record against other Hall of Famers. His is not so hot against other Hall of Famers. Against Wilfredo Gomez, he's 0-1, and he lost by knockout. Against Zaragoza, he's 0-1, also by knockout. To Fennec, he's 0-1, although that was more from cuts. You know how Fennec was, and Zarate was getting old, so it could very much be that, his skin was starting to fail him at that point. And he was 0-1 against Pintor, even though it was controversial. So against the 4 Hall of Famers he fought, he lost to all 4 of them. Alfonso Zamora is not in the Hall of Fame.
It's amazing to see a fighter, and we talk about age, right? His last fight, he was 37 years old against Daniel Saragusa, and never came back. So really, by today's standards, I mean, we see fighters fighting well past their late 30s, and to suggest that in 1979, when he lost to Lupe Pintor, he took 7 years off. So really, it could have been some of the best years of his career if he continued, if he didn't take that fight so personally, because it seems to me, he's 37 when he retires. He takes 7 years off. I don't need to take my socks and shoes off to figure that he was only 30 years old. I mean, he could have continued, but the mental part of it, I guess he couldn't get jacked up. What did he do in those 7 years? Do you know?
Not really. That's the thing that's unfortunate about him, is that I have very little info about him outside of boxing. I do have one quote, actually. He said, "I was in the gym regularly all those years, staying in shape. I have not disgraced the name of Carlos Zarate." So he stayed in shape. He was away from the sport, but he wasn't that far away from the gym, at least.
Well, when he came back, he climbed the ladder again. He did have somewhat of a more modern rise back to a title shot, fighting some obscure opponents until he was ranked enough. And like you mentioned, he fought Jeff Fenech in 1987, again for a bigger weight class than what he was so successful at due to the cuts. Jeff Fenech was a kind of a hard guy not to get cut against. Ended up losing, going to the scorecards just in time for Fenech to win, and followed that fight several months later with another shot at the world title against Saragusa, and loses by knockout and hangs him up for good. What did he do after boxing, Alex?
Yeah, that's just it. I don't know. I do believe he had a son who was involved in boxing, appropriately named Carlos Zarate Jr., and he fought for a while. However, even he has retired. He suffered a stoppage defeat in his last fight, although it seemed like it was mainly due to a shoulder injury. So I guess he was involved in his son's training. One thing I did catch, I got a whole bunch of windows open here, and you're right, after we talked yesterday, I should watch that, because one wrong move and who knows what happens. But I noticed them talking in the chat room. One thing that we should mention when we talk about being 49-0 and how great that is, having that O, Carlos Zarate was 52-0 when he picked up his first defeat to Wilfredo Gomez. So, that's something to keep in mind, that especially us Americans, we've had this diet of advertising since, the 40s, that our memories are real short, and the latest and the greatest can convince you of things. And I think that that's something to keep in mind, that, 49-0 is a great record, but other people have had that milestone.
Yeah, well, no, the issue with the record is to retire like that. I mean, that's the joke of it. That's what gets me so enraged when people throw that in my face about Floyd and even Rocky Marciano. What made the record for Rocky Marciano stand out and have people even start talking about it was because he was a heavyweight, and no heavyweight ever made it that far, because heavyweights' careers generally aren't that long, So, and then Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., Senior, didn't he fight 70 or 80 times before he lost? Sugar Ray Robinson, same thing. I mean, you got these guys that fought many. Coach has a whole list of these guys that surpassed 49-0 by a landslide, So you're right about the perception, but. How good was Carlos Zarate in terms of recognition? Well, there's a big list of awards this guy got. Ring Fighter of the Year in 1977. Greatest bantamweight of all time by the Ring magazine in 1994. The Ring magazine said he was the 11th greatest fighter of the last 50 years in 1996. The Associated Press named him and Ruben Alvarez as best bantamweight fighters of the century in 1999. And the Ring labeled him the 21st greatest puncher of all time as recent as 2003. And I think a guy that retires with a 90% knockout ratio should definitely be regarded as a big puncher, don't you think?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And the fact that it was a bantamweight doesn't matter. I mean, that's the thing about boxing is that's what weight classes are all about. You don't have to be 6'6", 250 to be a knockout artist, although it helps. But yeah, he was certainly a great one in terms of all-time bantamweights. Ibro ranks him at 6th all-time.
6th all-time is bantamweight?
Yeah.
Who did I have in front of him?
I closed that window. Guys.
You closed that window? Oh, okay. All right. 5 other guys. Oh, okay. All right. I got you. How did he do in title bout, my man?
He did very well, actually. Well, he did all right. Okay, so I put him in against 2 different guys. I put him in against the best bantamweight in the world right now, Shinsuke Yamanaka. And the first time they fought, Yamanaka was down in round number 6 and down again in round number 11. And Zarte ends up winning a unanimous decision. The scores were 116 to 106, 117 to 105, and 115 to 108. When they then fight 100 times, Zarte comes out on top. 79 victories, 18 defeats, 3 draws, 70 big wins by knockout. And in his 18 victories, Yamanaka scored 10 knockouts. Then I put him in because he did fight for junior featherweight championship as well. I put him in against the number 1 guy at that weight class, which of course is Cuba's Guillermo Rigondeaux. When they fight the first time, Rigondeaux wins the unanimous decision. The scores were 116, 113, 117, 112, and 117, 113. When they go at it 100 times, Rigondeaux comes out on top. Zarte wins 46, loses 52. There's 2 draws, and Classic Carlos scored 29 knockouts. Of his 52 victories, 18 were by knockout for Rigondeaux.
Wow. Well, you know what? Rigondeaux is a good fighter. I mean, that doesn't surprise me as much as I would think. Do you have any other final thoughts on Mr. Carlos Zarate?
No, I just if anybody out there knows what he's doing now, email Billy C because I'd be curious. I couldn't find any articles.
He's probably still looking around for Lupe Pintor, you know? I mean, and coach is saying in the chat room that Lupe Pintor actually publicly stated that he thought he lost that fight, which is pretty much that's nice. That's some big kudos for Carlos Zarate. But great job as usual, Alex. Carlos Zarate, our blast from the past this week. He was a former world bantamweight champion. He was also a former super bantamweight world title challenger. He had a career record. He fought 70 fights, 298 rounds. He had a career record of 66 wins, 63 coming by knockout, which was a 90% knockout ratio. He did have 4 losses in which he was stopped only 2 times. One in his last fight against Zaragoza and the other against Wilfredo Gomez. So nothing to be embarrassed about there. His other 2 losses was the technical decision of Jeff Fennick and, of course, the Lupe Pintor fight that we were talking about earlier. So great job as usual, Alex. Carlos Zarate. If you have any requests, and we do have some stacked up, but get your guy in there. Drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. And Alex, before we let you go, today's topic, at least for me, is about the situation coming up this weekend. And, everybody's pretty much picking Canelo Alvarez to beat Chavez. And most are thinking it's going to be an easy fight. I don't. I actually I haven't made my official pick, but I'm actually really starting to think that something's going to happen, that Chavez Jr. might win this fight. I just think that the styles, we hear this all the time, styles make fights. And the styles here, I think, favor Chavez, should he have trained the way he says he has. What's your thoughts?
Well, I tell you, if he definitely has the proverbial puncher's chance. And, I think just in terms of sheer, family pride, he's certainly going to give it his all. But I just think that in terms of skill, Alvarez has it all over him. Although, skill got its ass kicked this past weekend in Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko. Klitschko certainly showed that why he held the title for so long. But I think in most cases, skill wins the day, especially when you have somebody who has so many problems with conditioning, like Julio Cesar Chavez. I think, he's much taller than Canelo. He's 6'1" to Canelo's 5'9". But the weight and conditioning is really going to be an issue. We'll learn a lot when they get on the scales. When you see videos and I did not watch, unfortunately, the HBO little promo thing. However, that's usually filmed so far out, it wouldn't give you a good barometer of how Chavez looks now taking the weight off. But in a couple of the pictures I've seen from like the last week or two, he looks emaciated. He looks like in a prison camp type, dried out. That's not a good sign. I think those body shots of Alvarez are gonna break him down. But you're right. He absolutely has a puncher's chance. But remember, Sergio Martinez won every single round up until the 12th. So I do think that we might see a similar thing where Alvarez just really outboxes his ass from the opening bell.
But that's my whole issue. Alvarez is not effective on the move, and I think if he stands in front of Chavez works the body himself pretty well. So, and I think you're 100% right. If Chavez claims that he's lost the weight, right? I did see a picture of him yesterday that he looks extremely thin. And, you're right. If he's been starving himself, he's going to be zapped to energy and maybe not make the final bell. But, with all the trash talking that Canelo has made, not only for this particular fight, but, just his maneuvering and how he's the best and the biggest name, et cetera, he better be able to live up to it, because he certainly hasn't lived up to the last things that still ring in my head about us Mexicans don't F around, and what's he done ever since? Nothing but F around. But
right, and I think that, like we saw this past weekend, that there is that sort of there's a ceremonial aspect to our sport. It is, spectacle, and I think that sort of for Canelo to get a great big win over another Mexican fighter, that will mean a lot, just like we just talked about in the Blast from the Past, when there needs to be that ceremonial changing of the guard. That's how we do it in our sport. You fight. When Zaragoza beat Carlos Zarate in his last fight, there was significance to that. That could be what we see this weekend, where Alvarez just beats up this other great Mexican and just receives the accolades for that.
It's going to be a big festival day there with the Cinco de Mayo and both fighters being Mexican. So, Alex, great job. We'll be looking forward to you later in the week, my man.
All right, Billy C., take care.
That's Alex Papali doing a great job with the Blast from the Past. And we look forward to next week, which I don't have who it is in front of me. But don't forget, if you want your guy, just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's home for the barbecue rub and seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
This exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free. Snacking has never...
Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening and watching the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today, and we're glad we're with you guys today. Don't forget about Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant, located on beautiful St. Simons Island, Georgia. Check out the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or just click the gigantic banner that Jeremy C. I think Sal and Jeremy C. got a little business going on the side, because I looked at the website this morning. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Where's my stuff? All I see is Sal Rocky Senecola's poster there. And speaking of Sal, he's with me now again. Sal, what did you do? Slip Jeremy a few coins or what?
I'm with you. No, it was nothing short of just a nice detailed conversation as I was gargling with my quart of coffee.
There you go. There you go. Hey, listen, we got some emails. Let's try and get the emails finished today as we wrap it up.
Sir.
I got the trivia question coming up, but first and foremost, this one's from Jesse. He says, hey, Billy C. and Sal. He says, Billy, do we know how many pay-per-view buys were made in the Joshua versus Vlad fight? Is there such a thing as a granite chin in a heavyweight division with all that power? Here in the States, we saw it on Showtime and HBO, and I'm not sure about the pay-per-view buys in England, but I think Dax said when he was on Monday, 1.3 million, I think, or maybe 1.6. It was definitely over 1 million, so they did very well. And that's a good point about the heavyweight division, because in the heavyweight division, most of the time, at least 95% of the time, any heavyweight can knock out any other heavyweight at any given time. So I don't know. I guess a fighter that takes shots would have to say they have a granite chin. And I don't know about you, Sal, but watching Vladimir Klitschko take that uppercut from Anthony Joshua, and then actually Alex Papali sent me a still of that right after the punch, and it almost looked like it was photoshopped. Klitschko's neck he looked like a giraffe, but I think it's safe to say he has a solid chin, don't you think?
Oh, I think it's more than safe to say that. I'm just glad his tongue wasn't in between his teeth.
Yeah, well, there would have been spit out on the canvas if it was. But he says, hey, Billy, now that we're getting close to Chavez Canelo, what are the boxing skills that Chavez has to bring to the fight that may confuse Canelo? More head movement and some type of angles. How do you see the card overall? I like the card. The Jojo Diaz fight's going to be a tough one. I think the card is going to be an entertaining one. As far as the skills, I don't think that Chavez brings anything that Canelo is going to be shocked at, but I do think that, and I've been saying this all along, I do feel that Canelo's strengths, or let me rephrase that, Chavez's strengths is exactly how Canelo fights. So, you know what? I think Alex just made a great point. If Chavez actually lost the weight that he needed to make the weight for this fight the right way, I think we're going to see an upset. If he's had to really starve himself, he's going to be weak and run out of gas at some point, and Canelo come out on top. He says, how do you see the Marco Antonio Parabon versus Anvili Yildirim? Both guys carry power. Both guys go for power shots. Parabon has more boxing skill than Anvili. I think it's an even fight, to be honest with you. Yildirim, Marco Antonio Parabon is a decent fighter. I think they've both fought similar opposition, so I think I'm just going to say it's 50-50. But he says, Billy, IBF ordered eliminator title fight between Turiano Johnson and Deverchenko. That's a hell of a fight. Winner, I believe, will go after the champion, Triple G. Turiano Johnson busted onto the scene with his great performance against Curtis Stevens, and Curtis Stevens ended up winning that fight with a late stoppage. But since then, he hasn't really done much, at least in terms of fighting top-notch opposition. I liked him. I was really high on him. So I hope that he's able to move forward as far as getting a fight with Triple G. Sal, that's the problem. These guys fighting now in these eliminator fights, they come out of nowhere, fight an eliminator fight. So in a sense, they're fighting one challenging fight, and that's getting them a world title fight. That's a little too quick, in my opinion.
I believe you're right. And I feel the same way. Thank you very much.
Yeah, short-winded. That's good. That's good. Because I got some I got other emails that'll give me a chance to catch up on them here, my man. But let's see. Joel has a question for Sal. He says, Sal, I was wondering, besides your own delicious pizza, do you maintain a healthy eating habit? And if not anymore, what did your diet consist of when you were boxing professionally? He says, I know some athletes maintain healthy eating year-round, while some only become serious when they have an upcoming fight. He says, as for you, Billy C., we already know that you eat grilled chicken and drink water with your six-pack abs, so I don't need to ask you what you eat. I'm sensing a little Gallioni busting here, from Joel. So answer the question there, Gargle man.
I tell you, I'm going to go gargling today, but I actually adhere to a fairly decent diet. I do have a slice of pizza or two every day, but I do have salads. I do have lean fish, and I do eat vegetables. Love my vegetables, and I probably drink a little bit more club soda than I should, but I take it in as water. I'll drink a soda once in a blue moon. Otherwise, it's Gatorade or things like that. I do eat pasta, don't get me wrong. But again, when I was fighting, I adhered to a very strict diet comprised of complex carbohydrates.
There's some issues with the stream.
My voice. No, I did adhere to a perfect balance of maybe 70% complex carbohydrates, 20% protein, and 10% fat. I adhered to that strictly, and my protein consisted of mostly fish, chicken, and steak once in a while, and some beans and things of that nature, and whole wheat bread. But the complex carbohydrates played a great factor into my energy level and my endurance, as well as fat. You need fat. You need to eat fat. So my diet was strict along a 70% complex carbohydrates, 20% protein, and 10% fat. And I did that every day with grams. and counting, and I was very, very strict. And I did have a lean body mass. I mean, even in the Cleveland Clinic, the doctors wanted to put me in the tank, the water tank, and the calipers. I came up in the calipers about 3% body fat at one time, and in water tank was actually 2.5. So I was about as lean and about as mean as you can get.
Sounds,
And go ahead.
no, I said that it sounds good, and I'm glad you said eating fat is good because that puts me in a good spot.
It is. It's good. You know, you gotta have a little fat.
I got two.
Like I said,
I got two more emails I want to try and get through as we're running out of time here, Sal. This one's from our man, Cutman Mike Rella. He says, "Hey, Billy C and Sal." He says, "I just want to check in with you guys and give you my thoughts on the fights this past weekend. I was surprised at how much Klitschko had left in the tank against Joshua. If he threw any body shots at all when he had Joshua hurt, he could have finished him off. But because he was headhunting, Joshua was able to recover and get back into the fight. Joshua has a lot of potential and will be competitive with Wilder, Parker, and Ortiz. As far as this weekend's fight, I think Chavez has a chance if he makes weight and listens to the game plan from Bernstein. And lastly, look for me back in the ring in July where I'll be working the corner for Luis Collazo against the ever-tough TBA. He says, I really enjoy your show. You guys do a great job breaking down the fights. All the best, Mike. Well, thank you, Mike. And
thank you, Mike.
We appreciate you watching, and certainly we'll be watching you when you're in Collazo's corner. And the last email I got here, Sal, is from a blast from the past in himself. Mark Parmalee used to do some reporting for us. And he says, hey, Billy C., it's been a while since I emailed you, but I had to share my views after the Klitschko-AJ fight. He says it was a brilliant fight and more than lived up to its hype. Nights like that are exactly what this sport needs. Let's just hope it's the start of a resurgence in this heavyweight division. I've always been a big fan of AJ, and that fight was precisely what he needed. He answered the questions about his chin and showed that he has the heart needed to be a great champion. However, it also raised some serious questions about his stamina and movement. AJ stormed out in the fifth round, clearly looking to finish the fight. Threw everything he had at Vlad. He did the exact same thing in the Dillian White fight. He gasses out and leaves nothing in the tank. If his opponent doesn't hit the canvas or gets up off the canvas, AJ finds himself in some trouble. Also, the lack of lateral movement was clear to see, especially when he stood opposite Vlad, who was constantly on his toes and moving his head from side to side. Against a skilled opponent, he's a sitting duck and will take unnecessary punishment. My first immediate question is, who's more skilled out there than Vlad? But anyway, he says, we got to see these areas improved on and fast. Just imagine the hell would have to endure if AJ does all the hard work collecting the rest of the belts only for Wilder to beat him with a fluke knockout and unify the division. For me, that would be tragic. For me, too, Mike.
I was sensing that.
Anyway, Mark, I'm sorry. I said Mike. He says, do you think we'll see big enough improvements to him to correct these areas, or will he be too reliant on getting the knockouts? I think that he's a smart guy, and I think he's got a smart team around him, and I think that, you know, he's definitely learned something from the Klitschko fight. And I think that we are going to see a bigger, better, improved version of Anthony Joshua each time he comes out. He's still only in his 20s, and I think he is the heavyweight division, and don't worry about it. I doubt Deontay Wilder will knock him out because Deontay Wilder will get knocked out first, although Deontay certainly has the punching power to stop AJ. What's your quick thoughts, Sal?
I think you're right on with that. And I would like to see AJ, you know, be able to move a little bit side to side and box and use his strength and his reach to his advantage. And I think he will. As you said, I think he's going to be improving time after time. And I know you don't like to say that much with the person in a championship status, but the bottom line is, you know, these are things that are going to be doing. Every fighter rounds himself off and improves on what he learns from any previous fight. So it's not uncommon to say that AJ is getting better and better and better, because that's what fighting and that's what experience is often teaching a fighter. You know, what he's taking from that current fight and he's going to apply to learn and to be better in his next fight. So I'm a big believer of that.
Yep, good. I agree with you there. All right, listen, as we wrap it up here, I want to give you guys our trivia question. And
I can't wait.
We actually call it...
Wake up, it's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
No, I say we call it that because... some of you guys and gals are still waking up, so it's our it's too early for a trivia question. Question is exactly what we call this, and it's a tough one. So if you're the first one to email me the correct answer, and I know Sal has got his pencil ready because he loves to get these right. He's always guessing them off the air with me. But if you get this question right, and you're the first one to get it right by emailing me, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing.com. You'll win your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game, the same game that Alex does the simulations with during our Blast from the Past. So here's the question. What former world champion in his first professional fight defeated a man he would later beat for the world championship? What former world champion in his first pro fight defeated a man he would later beat for the world championship? If you know this answer, and you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win a copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Good luck to everyone on that. Sal, can you muster up any final thoughts as we wrap it up here in about 30 seconds?
Well, I was going to give you my canned answer, but I'll wait for tomorrow.
Sounds good. Sounds good. You need to save all the voice that you can. But
no singing tonight.
That's right. No singing tonight. Otherwise, you won't be talking on the show tomorrow. But, hey, listen, boys and girls, make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.
Oh, boy. I can't do that. I think that's what hurt me. Ciao.